I want that kid back. You know, I remember Harvey Milk, and when we joined this grassroots effort to have district elections, you know, to try to change what Citywide brought, which was mostly a monochromatic, nobody ever had to put the toilet seat down, if you get my drift, board of supervisors, and they were all connected to each other somewhat incestuously, and yet the neighborhoods were suffering. And actually, Harvey represented, when he ran, Noe Valley, the Castro, and the Haight. So it was called District 5. Is that right? Well, it was District 5. Yeah. And anyway, it meant so much. Obviously, his election personally meant a lot, politically as well. But also, we did see a return to more populist values and also more care. Unfortunately, because of the assassinations, the conservatives, you know, there was a very pronounced conservative strain in San Francisco. It's still there, but mostly it was specifically located west of Twin Peaks. There are people running, I don't know, this is historical names, Barbara Gelata, and I think if you remember, we would just laugh and cry at the same time. He couldn't say the word gay. And one time we're waiting, and he went, homo. I mean, really, it was that bad. It was that bad. So they took advantage of something, which was the numbness we all felt over the loss of Harvey and George. Tremendous sense of loss and dysfunction. And so they snuck in an election in August, right after the murders. And they did it by mail. And so in those days, if you voted by mail, you were conservative. We kind of encroached on that phenomenon now. And mostly you were older. And mostly you were from west of Twin Peaks. So one day we had district elections on August 17th, and on August 18th we didn't have them. Most of the supervisors who were running, Nancy Walker and some other progressives, actually won anyway because people were caught so short by that. So when I got back on the board, I reintroduced district elections because I wanted to keep that flame alive, and you know, I'm kind of flaming myself, and I figured I could provide the fuel. And you know, since then we haven't done badly. It's not supposed to be perfect, but it is definitely part of reform. And so you can imagine I get a little upset when those principles of reform and response to neighborhoods are corrupted and are disabused. And I feel that, you know, with particularly District 5, we really don't have the fit that we need to have. And we've been hungry for that. And you know, not only is Dean a man of principle and a man of character, but he's also not transactional. And if anything drives me crazy when I was elected was on Tuesday you're with me and on Wednesday you're not. Or all of a sudden you adopt or appropriate some issue because you feel it will translate into political currency and has nothing to do with the morality of it or the consistency of it or the recognition of what democracy really is. And I'm ready for that change. I'm desperate for that change. We have a fabulous opportunity in District 11 with Kimberly, in District 9 with Hillary. Not that Hillary. I wonder, I said, you know, wait before it's said, because everybody goes see Hillary and they go, oh my God, you're the thing. You know, I made a joke this morning about, you know, did Bernie actually meet the Pope? He did, yeah. In the men's room? Oh no, that was So Dean is my Pope. You know, I think Dean's the guy in the white hat. And it's going to be ugly, as it always is. And it's going to take more than front office people, highly paid consultants, et cetera, and so forth. We have the brain power here, and we have the commitment here, but it's also going to take a different form of Pilates. We're really going to have to walk up and down those hills in District 5 and knock on the doors, and if no one's home, we leave a note, we say, we were here, here's a number that you could call. We are running a very, very smart campaign for a very, very smart guy who I know will stick with us and not abandon us and be a real role model. And that is Dean Preston.
Thank you all so much for being here on this beautiful Saturday. I know you had other things you could be doing, the beach or out there doing something, but you're here, and that means a lot. You know, you have certain dreams in your life, and I got to admit, being introduced by Tom Ammiano is one of those for me. So if I had a little bit of trouble collecting my thoughts right now, that's the reason. What an amazing, amazing group of people. I want to recognize, in addition to Tom, the other elected officials we have here, John Rizzo, Raphael Mandelman. Raphael's president of the College Board, and John Rizzo, College Board member as well. So thank you all for being here. And I go to a lot of events, and the elected officials are recognized, and they should be, right? They're working hard for us, especially the good ones. But when I walk into a room like this, and when I look at what our campaign's been like so far, the elected official's just the tip of the iceberg. So I go one by one around this room at people doing amazing stuff. I'm looking at Tom Drowan defending evictions every day with legal assistance for elders. Josh Davidson's standing behind cooking for our kids. Gus Hernandez, who led Almost for a Neighborhood Association, leader before the division. Will Rossum in the back fighting for Earth Justice to literally save our planet from greenhouse gases and so forth. And you go around Cynthia over here with the League of Pissed Off Voters and other hats. And thank you, League of Pissed Off Voters, for the endorsement. John Dollinger hiding over here, who is leading the effort to actually reform the obscure body called the DCCC that nobody knows anything about, and yet they get to dictate how things go in this town. And they are run by a real estate lobbyist right now, and John's working to get on the DCCC. Elizabeth, and you can just keep clapping all the way through. Elizabeth Alexander was running for DCCC, and Leah at SEIU, 1021. So, where's Tom? Tom, you're hiding. Tom Temprano, my pick for College Board. Tom's unbelievable. So I'm going to stop because I literally could go around this room and do that with every person in here. And I appreciate folks coming out, and I want to talk a little bit about myself, the campaign, and how we're going to win this thing. So, last thing to thank you before moving on is Gus, Lisa, Yanni, Claudia, and the little one. Valentino. For your very kind remarks. So I've lived in this district for 20 years. I fell in love with a fifth generation San Franciscan who was wandering around or maybe at the kids' table and moved to San Francisco. I went to law school here, and after law school, became a civil rights lawyer, as Yanni mentioned, started my legal career representing victims of police misconduct and other victims of official abuse. And then the real estate market went nuts. We all thought this was as bad as it could be in the late 90s. .com won, everyone being evicted. And so I started working full-time, doing eviction defense work, working to protect rent-controlled units and rent-controlled tenants, and suing slumlords and holding them accountable. I did that for 7 years at the Tenderloin Housing Clinic, and then started the state's only statewide tenant rights organization called Tenants Together. So for the last 15 years, I've been fighting every day to stop the displacement of our neighbors from this city. And this is work that I feel very much that I must do. When I do this work, it's very personal for me. I think of my own family that was driven from their home, uprooted, were refugees that fled Nazi Germany, and I think of the emotional scars of that displacement that never healed for my father and grandparents. I think of people when I was starting to do this work, and some of you will remember Lola McKay, who literally died fighting against an eviction. The speculators literally killed her with eviction. I think of folks like Claudia, who spoke, and a long list of other folks, pretty much everyone who lives in this town who doesn't own their home, who are living under the threat of eviction, the stress of eviction, and even when they win, like Claudia, think about being a mom, think about being a teacher, going to work every day while being under the threat and an actual eviction. So every day you're deciding whether to go to court and fight your eviction or show up at your job and teach our kids in schools. I have gotten tired over the years of the collective shrug of the shoulders that we get from many of our leaders in City Hall about these problems. The idea that we should just accept this as an inevitable part of market-driven economics, that if we question, we are told we don't understand. None of this is inevitable. Mass evictions, mass displacement of low and middle income people, none of that is inevitable. It is a decision made by our leaders not to intervene and protect people. I believe very much in a city that protects its residents. I believe that we intervene. I believe that we house the homeless. We don't send our police force out in the middle of the night to cut their tents, seize their possessions, criminalize their conduct, and then push them to the next corner so they can all start over again and again. I believe in actually building affordable housing. Not pretending you're building affordable housing by building a massive number of luxury housing units under a Reagan-inspired trickle-down housing theory that if you build enough multi-million-dollar condos, just believe the prices will come down and retail workers and cab drivers and bus drivers and everyone will be able to afford a home in San Francisco. To that, I say, give me a break. We're not that stupid. I believe in San Francisco that actually provides free universal preschool for kids so that on the first day of kindergarten, everyone's starting on the same footing, right? There's a reason we have the most segregated schools that we've had since the 1960s. There's a reason certain kids don't have a shot from day one, and it doesn't just start in kindergarten. It starts at preschool, and what opportunities you have before kindergarten even begins. Yanni talked about police misconduct and police shootings, and we need to talk about that as a city, and we need leaders to talk about that. Because I also believe in a city where when you are African American or Latino, that you can walk down the street without fear of being harassed, abused, and at worst, killed. And where you actually have accountability when something like that happens. And to those who call for Chief Suhr to resign or to be fired, let me make very clear what none of our leaders seem to be able to make that clear. I stand with you. I agree with you. The amount of misconduct in the SFPD is out of control. The Police Officers Association has not endorsed me, and I don't expect that they will. I also believe fundamentally, and those like Lisa who have been at our various meetings will understand this, I believe in a bottom-up approach to city planning, to governing, and to activism. Over the last year, we have held over 40 community meetings, starting with the tenant rights boot camps, and in fact we hosted one right here at the amazing Mercury Cafe. Thank you, Nick. as an aside, I will say, if you ever want to see whether businesses are with you or not, try calling something a tenant rights boot camp, and then see which businesses will actually host you in their place. So, Mercury was happy to host us then and now. Thank you. There's a lot of talk right now nationally about the need for a political revolution in Washington, D.C., right? Who's down for a political revolution in Washington, D.C.? So I'm here to tell you we need a political revolution in San Francisco. And that starts with bottom-up, grassroots politics, taking back the city. We all know what's going on. Again, we're not stupid. We understand how pay-to-play works. We understand that folks who can write $10,000 checks to DCCC candidates, folks who can organize and bundle large amounts of realtor donations to get their candidates in office, folks that can actually fund slush funds that some of our supervisors actually currently have all through their tenure in office. We get how that works. And we also get how to change that. And that's with a community-inspired, grassroots, you can call it a revolution, you can call it a revolt. There's a history of revolt in this district, right? Who was here for the freeway revolts in this district, all right? Yeah. You know, freeways all across the country. We're going to go through parks and knock down homes, right? San Francisco is where the resistance to that began and inspired everyone. There would have been a freeway down Golden Gate Park if it wasn't for District 5 revolting against it. So that's what we're doing. We're doing a modern day version of that. So I can't emphasize enough, and I want to be very upfront about this, because anyone who follows politics knows this. This race is going to be hard, right? We are challenging an incumbent. We're not just challenging an incumbent, we're challenging an incumbent who is the board president, right? Some folks would count us out. Some folks would have counted us out months ago. Some folks will still count us out now, right? The only way we win this is with everyone in this room and then 5 of your friends getting active, as Tom said, going door to door and saying enough of this. We want a supervisor who is not interested in being friends with the people who are destroying what's great about this city. We want a supervisor that is going to stop the people who are destroying what is great about this city. And we also want a supervisor that listens to the people. And what we have been doing through all the boot camps and meetings that we've been doing across the district is saying, what do folks want? And people want a lot of things, but one thing that is loud and clear from all the meetings that we've been doing, people want a new supervisor. So who's ready to get to work? Let's do it. All right. I see a few hands. Anyone else? All right. I'm going to get off the mic in 1 minute. I just want to recognize the folks who make all this stuff happen, because there's always one guy who gets to go up, stand at the mic, and then there's always the people who actually make stuff happen. So the campaign team, if you're, raise your hand or do something. We got Kyle, campaign manager, right here. Allison, who's somewhere. And Zach, where are you, Zach? Zach made you sign in out there. Erica and Katie, you can't be here today. And thank you so many others who are volunteering so much of their time already. We're just getting started. Thank you so much for being here today.
Let's give it up for Dean Preston.